This morning, we are talking about the lessons we can learn from all of life's waves and wipeouts.
David Litt is a New York Times bestselling author and comedy writer who served as a speechwriter for former President Barack Obama.
David, look at that picture. That's a young David Litt there. David recently, though, took on an even bigger challenge, surfing. And he's sharing the journey in a brand new book. It's called It's Only Drowning, a true story of learning to surf and the search for common ground. David, welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
No, it's the whole thing is, I find it quite fascinating because like a lot of folks during the pandemic, you find yourself at a bit of a low, emotionally, mentally as well. And then someone says to you, David, you know what? Maybe surfing would help you. Set this up for us.
Well, you know, Craig, it's true that during the pandemic and kind of the year after, I was in a pretty low spot. And usually I try to write fun stuff. But in this book, I felt it was important to start from a low point, a point of real depression. And during that time, I would be, scrolling the news and worrying. And my wife would say, David, I think you need a hobby. And I would say, I have a hobby, and my hobby is scrolling the news and worrying. But eventually, I took her advice, and I started surfing. And I feel like what I ended up learning wasn't just about surfing. It was about living with courage and with joy at a time when that can be pretty scary. And, I'm not a professional surfer, but I am a writer.
Look at you ripping right there.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, actually, that's not me.
Oh, is that
That's my brother-in-law, who's also in the book.
Right.
The book is kind of our story. That's also Matt. Eventually, you're going to see someone fall. That's going to be me.
How's that? You really undersold yourself.
Yeah. That's me.
That is hysterical. But Matt is actually who inspired you to write this book. And you talk a lot about in the book about finding not common ground, but neutral ground. So explain that, because I think a lot of people could really adapt to that.
Yeah, well, Matt is my wife's younger brother. And we had always known each other, but we'd never really been friends. We are totally different. I mean, the way I put it, like Matt once threw out his back training to become an ultimate fighter, and I once threw out my back lifting a bag of cat litter. So two very different people. And I think we're living in this time where, people who seemingly have nothing in common, there's a lot of divides.
Yes.
And yet we found this, what I call neutral ground, this space that we both enjoyed. We're spending time together. As, everyone in America just saw, Matt remains a much better surfer than I am. But we became friends. And in a way, that ended up, this book that was about just me learning to surf, it really became this story of unlikely friendship. And that's even more than the surfing, what I feel so grateful for.
And there are also, beyond the bridging these cultural differences between you guys, this concept of all these lessons that you can apply to everyday life, like one I can totally relate to in the ocean in my very recent past of learning how to surf, embracing the wipeout. What did you translate that to mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I had a surf instructor once who said, you haven't been surfing till you get a good wipeout in. And I thought, that doesn't sound like that makes any sense. Thank you very much, right? Like, I think surfing is about getting up on the board and looking cool. And what I eventually learned is that when you get that good wipeout in, that's a sign that you are trying something hard, right? If you don't get a good wipeout in, it's actually a sign you're holding yourself back. You're not pushing yourself a little past your limits. And so now, when I go out there, if I'm, having a surf session and I don't get that good wipeout in, I actually start to get a little antsy because I know I'm not trying hard enough. And that also, it's not just surfing, that really changed the rest of my life, too.
It's an apt metaphor for life in general for a lot of folks. You also learned something about, from one of your instructors, about the way that we view success and failure. What did that instructor teach you?
Yeah, this was an instructor named Luis, and this was out in California, and he said to me, people think that success is standing up on the board and failure is falling. It was like, no, success is knowing why. Right? If you stand up, but you have no idea how you got up, that's failing. If you wipe out, but you know exactly why you wiped out, then you succeeded. And again, I think about that in all kinds of parts of my life now, because it's like, it's not necessarily all about the result. It's about, did I learn something? Did I understand what led me to this point? How can I do this better the next time? And it's that forward-looking, that sense of momentum that has really changed so much for me.
I know Matt didn't read the book until it came out. And what did he think after reading it?
Well, Matt, I'm happy to say, really liked the book. I think he's watching, so,
Hi, Matt.
I'll double check that he still likes it in a couple minutes. But I I'm so happy because I was, you get nervous about reviews, but I gave the book to Matt, and he just started to read the table of contents, and he was laughing. I will say we did have a disagreement because he thinks that I dinged up a rental car in Santa Cruz, California. He was like, didn't you, dent that car? And I was like, Matt, according to the book, that never happened. So,
David, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, the book is called It's Only Drowning. It's Only Drowning by David Litt. That book is out right now.
Beautiful life lessons. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC or take Today when you're on the go. Just follow the Today podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.